What's up, guys? I apologize for the recent absence. I've taken some time for myself and have taken a break from uh, putting up videos and just kind of been basically just looking at myself, taking some time for myself, and kind of getting things ready for the fall and preparing for that and for the rest of the year. I wanted to talk about something today, just real briefly, because I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's something I just want to lay out there, and that's it. So I've been doing over this past period of time. I did a little experiment on myself, and what I did was I wanted to experiment with emotions, just to see how my own emotions work and how I deal with them on a daily basis. And one of the things that I decided to do is I said, I wanted to basically shut off my emotions just to see what would happen. Now, what I mean by that is I basically I tried to maintain a train of thought. I guess that's the better way of saying it. A train of thought of being indifferent and neutral about things. So if somebody cut me off in traffic, or whatever, I just say whatever. That person's just being a fucking idiot, or they're late, or something, or whatever. I would come up with something else, but I wouldn't let it get to me emotionally. And the whole point of this is, I think that emotions are a very feminine trait, and I think that is for men. We aren't emotional beings, and for so long we've been told that we need to be emotional. We need to feel with our emotions. Who was it? I think it was Tom Green. Not Tom Green. I think Tom Green's the Tom Golden. Tom Green, I think, is a comedian. Tom Golden. He talked about it, saying that men deal with their problems by being active, and deal with their problems by going out and doing active things and physical things to help them get through whatever rut they were in or whatever situation. How they help process difficult information or difficult situations or whatever that helps them overcome. So I looked at that and I said, that's very interesting because, you know, as I said, as men, we've been told to be so emotional, and therapists and psychiatrists and, all these people tell us to be emotional. You feel with your emotions because that's the root problem, right? And I'm just thinking, this is fucking ridiculous. So what I did is I maintained I guess a neutral frame of mind, and I shut off my emotions. I don't know about most people, but I actually have the ability to do that, just to maintain a neutral feelings about something, unless I start, unless I want to feel emotional about it. It's very hard for me to explain, but I had this ability, this way of train of thought, and I really realized how it benefited me because when uh, in times that I was extremely busy and I was doing a lot of things and I was running errands, whether weeks and weeks on end, I didn't have time to feel emotional. I didn't have time to worry about whether or not somebody didn't like me because I knew I had things to do. I knew that emotions were not in the fucking. I didn't have time for emotions. I think emotions slow men down. I think they completely slow men down. I think if we maintain a completely neutral state of mind and look at things from a completely objective point of view, allowing us to research and look at information and learn about as many things as possible to find the closest thing to whatever truth that we can come to in our life, in our personal self, or whatever. But I think when we get emotions involved, we become feminine minded. We become feminine minded men, and it's just a complete waste of time. I remember when I was when I very first got my start interning, I guess you should say, I was an assistant to somebody who was a very rude person. He was a narcissist, and he was also very bipolar. And I worked with this person for a year and a half. And when I worked with this person, I mean, it was the most exhausting thing I have ever done in my life because they were so demanding. They were so uh, off the walls from here to there. I almost got into a few car accidents because of this person, giving me fucking directions and shit. I mean, my God. So one of the things I learned from that is that, wow, I mean, that's destructive behavior. That's extremely destructive behavior to be that emotional to the point where you're putting someone else's life in harm's way. And I'm just thinking, if emotions are that powerful in terms of controlling your outcome of whatever decision you make or perception that you have about a certain situation or thing, I'm just thinking that's a very interesting problem that might arise if we let our emotions get out of check. And I think in modern day society, especially here in America, my God, I mean, the amount of shit that we see on the news is just always meant to evoke emotion, especially in men, right? You look at some of the wars. Oh, look, they're hurting the women and hurting the kids. Well, let's get those men out there. They're the only people going to fucking do it. Women aren't going to go out there with battle swords and say, you know what, we have to defend our women. It's always the men that do it, and it always triggers the men, the men, the men, the men. Because God damn it, the men are the only people that do anything around here. They're the only people that made anything. They're the only people that will do anything. They do the dirty jobs. They do the jobs that people don't want to do. They do the difficult jobs, STEM fields. We do everything. Who was it that said this? Heartburn said this. He said, men are the closest things to God you are ever going to see. And it's the damn truth. You look back at it from ancient Egypt all the way through Greek history, Greek mythology, the Bible, God was a man. I mean, all of it. The presidents, all of it. There is a reason for that. There is a reason for that. But I think when we get our emotions involved, when they, in the media, targeting men to, feel and all this other bullshit, it throws us off our main goals. The things that we really need to be focusing on, not our emotions, but the things that we need to be doing to further our life and to better ourselves. But if I get all emotional and I worry about if I say, for example, if I was to watch TV or something, right? And I see something on the news and, oh, look, 20 people are dead. Well, 20 people are dead. Okay, now on to the next thing. Now, that's a very cold and cynical way to look at it. But you know what? I think that personally for me, that's just who I am. That's the way I deal with situations. Because in this day and age, men were going through hell now. Men, we are going through hell. The kind of burdens that we kind of have to work through in our life are insane. It's crazy what we have to, some of the knowledge that we know here in Mgtow, it's pretty disturbing. I'll tell you that. It's some of it's downright complete evil. And I am not at any I'm not, I mean, it's evil. It's evil. Some of these things these women do here are evil. Pure fucking evil. Right? There's no other way to describe it. Messenger was talking about it, I remember. That women, I mean, what they do to these men without having that empathy, knowing that they're doing it, it's just fucking evil. It is evil. So that some of these things that we as men have to kind of, work through and see and realize, it really gets you down. So when we maintain a neutral state of mind about this and we're able to look back and just analyze the situation and make the best decisions that we can, thinking rationally, because men are rational thinkers, we need to start focusing on that and not get our emotions involved. Emotions are so feminine minded. It's feminine minded. And we are not feminine minded. We are men. We are masculine minded. So I think it's time to throw the emotions away for the time being because right now, or for good, for me personally, I've gotten more done not getting my emotions involved than anything when I think rationally about things. When I say I have to do this, this, and this, A, B, C, and D, I have to do this. This is how I accomplish A, this is how I accomplish B, and this is how I'm going to accomplish C. End of discussion. There is no, oh, well, maybe with A, I can move it around to Monday because, I have that meeting and I really don't want to get up because I feel, like they're going to laugh at me for, I don't know, coming in late because I oversaw all this bullshit of how we go through these emotions and stuff like this is just a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. And as men, we have, we have a big burden. I can't stress enough. We have a big burden that we have to work through and help. And it's for each individual person. It's a burden that we're going through. It's a burden we're all going through. We all have our own path that we have to figure out how to get out of our own muck. But with how bad things are getting, with how bad things are in the world, we must realize that if we wanna be able to get through this and be able to save ourselves, not drive ourselves crazy, we need to put the emotions away. If we're going to do this, and we need to start thinking rationally about stuff and better further the goals for each of us, and stop being feminine minded. Uh, Emotions are very feminine. So let's be masculine minded, and I appreciate everybody for listening.